Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Otaku Treasures, and this is going to be my review for Hazbin Hotel Episode 5. I do need to start working on more anime reactions, especially One Piece. At this rate, I'm never going to finish it, or even get caught up on it. There's no way I'm getting caught up on One Piece in probably 10 years. No, maybe 10 years? Maybe? Actually, I could do it in 3 years if I did an episode a day. Oh god. Anyway, Charlie was staying up all night trying to figure out why the hotel's not working, and apparently it's only 2 months until the extermination. And, she's a little jittery. And Baggy suggests that maybe it's time we call your dad. Maybe we can get his help. And she doesn't want to because, he was the one who signed up on the extermination in the first place. But I'm willing to bet that, he didn't really have a choice. Because if I remember correctly, the deal was essentially the exterminators were allowed to come down and kill all the sinners, but they couldn't touch the Hellborns, which means Charlie and anybody else who was Hellborn. Some people are speculating that Rosie is a Hellborn. I'm not exactly sure. Which means, are all the cannibals Hellborns? Because there was some freaking baby carriages in episode 7. Which means some of them have to be Hellborns, right? Because I'm assuming that sinners can't have kids. And why would a baby end up in hell? Seriously, it's a baby. They're innocent. Anyway. She realizes that her dad had a meeting to discuss this, so she thinks that getting him to get her the meeting with heaven essentially going above Adam's head, thinking maybe there's somebody there who would listen to what they have to say, and yes, most likely there is, but they probably won't be higher up in the ranking, essentially. Question. I think Lucifer is a seraphim, because he's got 6 wings. But isn't he also technically an archangel if you're wanting to go by, biblical lore? Unless you're going by... Not to go by that lore in this, because, which means he at least is a seraphim. Or used to be a seraphim. So, if there's archangels in this, couldn't she go above... Going above Adam would mean going to the seraphim, or even, I think, the archangels, if they actually exist. Because we don't know who exists in this world. We don't know if Jesus exists in this world. We don't know if God exists in this world. We don't know if the archangels are here. We know the seraphims exist. So, maybe we'll find that out in season 2? Who knows? Anyway, she tries to call him. And we can finally get to see what Lucifer looks like for the first time. And, he's not what you expect, to be completely honest. Because I'm sure that everybody who watched this episode was expecting some buff, powerful, egotistical piece of shit parent. Considering they're kind of estranged from each other. But, no, he's not that. He's goofy, poor guy's depressed, though, considering what, this is his punishment for what he did, and he's been down there for I don't know how long, as long as, from the whole Adam and Lilith thing to now, the guy's been down there a while, so the poor guy is obviously depressed. And he's goofy, he likes to make he's obsessed with rubber duckies. We don't know when the obsession started. We don't know if that started back before he was sent to hell, or if this was a more recent thing. From what we've seen, I'm assuming it's a more recent thing because later on in the flashback showing little baby Charlie, essentially, we didn't see the rubber duckies in his workshop. So that had to have been a more recent thing. Unless that wasn't his... That had to have been his workshop because it had tools. I don't know. Anyway, he was making a rubber ducky that backflipped and spit fire. Okay. And we actually see some family portraits in his workshop, including him, Charlie, and Lilith. And, well, from what we can see, they do appear to be very happy together. So, and that was when Charlie was like a little kid, like a toddler, or even a baby. So, I wonder what changed, because apparently her parents split up at some point. So I wonder, did she grow bored of Lucifer, or did they just disagree with how to raise Charlie, or did the depression thing kind of drive her away, or maybe something else did it? Who knows? Because we know she thrived in hell, so I mean, she had no real reason to want to leave, because she's been gone 7 years. But anyway, yeah, they look very happy on the portraits, and we actually see a portrait. I didn't even notice this at first, because I wasn't paying that much attention to the stuff in the background. But there's a picture of Charlie with an emo phase. Oh god, Charlie in an emo phase. Oh dear lord, I'd love to see some of that stuff. Anyway, he's kind of freaking out because, you know, this is the first time she's called him. He answers, and he goes, "Hey, bitch!" I'm like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with him? I know he's probably trying to act cool like all the young kids do, but oh my god, that's not the way to do it. Thankfully, she didn't react negatively to that. And, you know, she's trying to get him on board with what she's doing, trying to get him to come down, see what she's doing. And when she finally gets around to saying what she wanted, he automatically says no. And considering his track record with heaven, I kind of don't blame him for saying no. Considering, yes, you want your kids to be able to live their own lives, but at the same time, he doesn't want to see her going through the same thing that he did. Because, I mean, yeah, he's dealt with heaven. He knows how they are. Better than anybody, I might add. Because he was there from the beginning of time up until he fell, and we don't even know how long that was. That could have been millennia before even they started creating everything on Earth. We don't know. So, yeah, of course he doesn't want anything to happen to her. He doesn't want her to get more involved with heaven, for them to hurt her. So, of course he's going to say no. But he finally realized that, wait, she's inviting me over. And he instantly agrees and says he'll be there in an hour. And you finally figure out that he's got depression because he goes, "Take that, depression!" And I'm like, oh, poor guy. Because, I mean, yeah, being stuck in hell would make anybody depressed, especially when it's a punishment for you. Anyway, everybody gets everything ready. Nifty somehow ends up in the... Actually, now that I think about it, in the pilot, she was pulled out of a fireplace. So, I mean, fire probably does no effect on her, because she climbs out of the oven with some cookies that they baked. And I actually didn't notice this. There's a bunch of stuff I didn't notice. I mean, you gotta go back and watch the episodes at least a few times to see everything that you didn't catch, because there's some, like, blink and you'll miss it stuff. But I think Angel Dust designed the banner that said welcome, because it says, "Welcome, Daddy." Angel Dust. Oh my god. And when he gets there, he automatically runs and hugs her. And I didn't even realize this at the time because I didn't actually see the eye move, but you could see on Alistair's face his eye is twitching. And I guess like everybody else, he probably wasn't expecting Lucifer to be like that. And, well, Lucifer is not the king of hell for nothing. The guy is probably the strongest person in hell. Probably not the strongest in all of heaven and hell combined, obviously, but he's definitely the strongest in hell, at least. So he's not one to be intimidated. So, yeah, you could probably guess that, yeah, all Lucifer would have to do would be to snap his fingers, and Alistair would be disintegrated, essentially. And He goes around, sees the renovations, and Alistair tells him, it's where we've had to do some renovations to the hotel. He's like, who are you? I'm like, oh, he doesn't know who Alistair is. And Alistair gets slightly annoyed and kind of pokes fun at how short he is. And yes, he is short. And the funny thing is, I think I've seen people saying that he's supposed to be, 5'2"? I am only a couple inches shorter than the King of Hell. That's funny. It's sad. Sad for him and sad for me. But yeah, everybody else in this world is freaking gigantic. I mean, freaking Alistair, I think, is supposed to be, 7 foot? I'm guessing Angel Dust is probably at least 7.5, 8 foot. Valentino is probably even taller than that. And, there's a ton of people. But, I mean, Hell isn't the only place that has tall people. I mean, Sarah, freaking huge. Anyway, yeah, he's like, wait, who is this? Are you the bellhop? I guess this one shows that how big a power gap there is between the two. Two, Lucifer doesn't keep track of politics because of how his depression is and how he isolates himself, so he doesn't keep track of all that, and thus wouldn't have heard the radio broadcasts. And, yeah, he kind of pokes fun at the name of the hotel, and he's like, maybe you've heard of me from my radio broadcast. He's like, nope. I guess that's why Charlie called it the Hazbin Hotel, and I didn't realize this at first, but when he said that, Charlie's eye twitched. Because she didn't name it. She named it the Happy Hotel. Alistair was the one who changed it. And Alistair was like, that's my idea. And Lucifer's like, oh, it's not very clever. And Alistair gets so pissed off and annoyed that he curses for the first time ever in this show. And he says, fuck you, right to the King of Hell's face himself. I was like, oh dear. Oh god, and Charlie has no idea what's going on as she tries to keep telling her dad about the hotel and what they use every room for, blah blah blah, and Alistair kind of takes notice of this, and he walks over and is like, I'm happy to help her with everything she needs, and he kind of puts his hand on her shoulder, and Lucifer don't like that, and you kind of realize, wait a minute, Lucifer's jealous. Is he thinking that Alistair's trying to take his position as father figure away? And that's exactly what Alistair's doing. He's making Lucifer think this, essentially. He's essentially messing with Lucifer because he knows that Lucifer can't touch him. Because if Lucifer was to try and kill him or even attack him, Charlie would be upset. And, well, that's the last thing Lucifer wants, is to be more estranged from his daughter than he already is. So, yeah, so that's why he's poking the bear, so to speak. A very hungry bear who is, who could also be rabid. So, yeah, that's exactly what he is doing. He is doing this all just from here to when the song starts to when it ends. That's exactly what he's doing. He's doing this to mess with Lucifer. He's not doing this because he actually feels that way about Charlie. He's doing it to poke the bear, so to speak. And he's actually succeeding at poking the bear. And we get introduced to as Vaggie as her girlfriend, and he's overcompensating with his reaction in a good way, but it's still overcompensating to the point where he gets her name wrong. It's Vaggie, but he calls her Maggie. And, she's introducing him to all the other people. Benches just goes, Your Majesty, and I don't know if he falls over, he's guarding those cookies with his life. And Angel Dust is being Angel Dust. Calls him a short king, and I mean, he is a short king, but, I love the short king. I think most everybody who's watched this show and has loved the show so far Lucifer's probably high up on their list of favorite characters. Maybe, if not their favorite character, probably at least a second or third choice. And, yeah, funny thing is, I didn't know it at the time, but Lucifer is actually voiced by Jeremy Jordan, who has the literal singing voice of an angel, which is perfect casting for him, considering he's playing Lucifer. And I think everybody will agree that, yeah, they were they were very good at picking who they picked for Lucifer, essentially. Huh? What the fuck? Okay, for some strange reason, my screen went black. Thankfully, this is fine. It's just like... What? It's fine now. I can see my screen. Scared me for a second. I thought, no! I don't want to do this all over again! Anyway, I better, hurry up. Anyway, I didn't realize this at the time, but I was watching other people reacting to the show, and I noticed that the chandelier was kind of, crooked. And, yeah, it fell. But it broke. And this starts the song of Hell's Greatest Dad. Lucifer offering his services to Charlie, trying to be supportive in that way, but it's not actually what she's wanting. All I want is to get a video done. But no, they just want to be loud. They want to be bad. Anyway, yeah, he's really doesn't like Alistair because you can tell during this because he kind of gets him on a frying pan, flips him, and then serves up his head on a plate. And then the cake has a picture of him holding up Alistair's head. So, yeah. And then Alistair pops in on the song, essentially saying, you know, who's been here the whole time, who's been supportive of Charlie in the hotel and everything. Essentially rubbing it in Lucifer's face that he hasn't been there for Charlie and that he has. And essentially... Oh my god. He pulled the Ace version of Your Daughter Calls Me Daddy too. With that line of, it's funny, you could almost call me Dad. Looking him in the eye as he says it. Oh my god. And anyway, the temple starts picking up, and they essentially are fighting among themselves, song-wise, but then Mimsy pops up and ends the song, essentially not showing who won the little song battle they were doing, which is good. But yeah, I didn't know I was like everybody else who watched this episode and she popped up. I was like most everybody who saw her was either like, who the heck is this? Or the few people who actually knew who it was were happy to see her. But yeah, most everybody was like, who the fuck is this? It was like Lucifer who said, who? And we find out that Mimsy was actually a friend of Alistair's back when they were alive. And they essentially go way back. And she had dropped by to see him when she saw that he was staying here. And they continue on the tour with Alistair joining in, even though Lucifer obviously didn't want him to. And we get the whole, recap of how Alistair ended up in hell, blah, 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 from the pilot. I'm guessing it was for people who hadn't seen the pilot. And while they're on the tour, Husk goes and tells Alistair, yeah, Mimsy only comes here when she needs something, so she had to have done something to come running to you. And, Alistair's not worried because he thinks, oh, who's gonna cross the radio demon? Seriously. And Husk gets mad when Alistair's touching him and tells him, you might own my soul, but I'm not your dang pet. And Alistair starts walking away, and this is where he drops the biggest bombshell of the show so far. Alistair is also on a leash, so somebody owns his soul. And when Husk mentions this, Alistair gets pissed off so friggin' much. And essentially threatens to tear his soul apart like he did with all the other Overlords and broadcasts it on his radio show if he says anything else about it. And Alistair has not mentioned this at all. So I'm guessing either he just doesn't want to mention it because he doesn't want to be seen as weak, obviously, or he can't mention it. He's not allowed to, as per whatever deal he made. So it's either that or that. And I'm more inclined to think it could be both, actually. Even if he was allowed to talk about it, I don't think he would, because like I said, he's always smiling, which means he never shows weakness, and that would be a huge weakness for anybody to find out about him if someone were to find out that his soul is owned by somebody else. Like, who the fuck has the radio demon on leash, essentially? And a lot of people are speculating that it's Lilith. And I'm kind of inclined to believe it, not just because of the whole 7-year difference for both of them being gone, but, I mean, Alistair does not have to be at this hotel. And yet he's here, helping out, defending it, even though, he said it was for his own entertainment, but surely it's got to be annoying at this point for him, so why would he stick around? Surely it's not that entertaining enough that he's willing to stick around and help out. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in season 2. Maybe. Anyway, they end the tour, and Charlie's talking with Lucifer and asking him, what do you think about our plan? And he's kind of, either he wasn't paying attention, or he was, but his memory is so bad because of the depression that he forgot what she was saying. And I mean, fair enough. I mean, depression can make it harder for you to concentrate and harder for you to remember things. So, yeah, I can kind of blame that on that for that. Anyway, he tells her that, I know you want to see the good in people, but these people are the worst of the worst for a reason. They were sent down here for a reason. I don't want you essentially wasting your time doing this when it could be all for nothing, essentially. And yes, there are some people who do not deserve to be redeemed. Valentino. But there are probably some people down here who was sent down. We don't even know what gets someone sent to hell, for example. We don't even know if, the whole biblical thing where if you're not, saved or religious or whatever, then you could get sent to hell just for that alone. And we don't know if that's a criteria for this show. If it is, then there could be a ton of people in hell who don't even deserve to be in hell. But, yeah, I'm kind of guessing that might not be the case. But even then, there are still some people who probably don't deserve to be in hell, or their crimes were like the bare minimum of what would get you into hell, essentially. But yeah, I mean, she's gotta be able to at least try this herself, essentially. And right as he's talking to her about this, literal loan sharks show up at the hotel looking for Mimsy, and apparently she stole 50 grand. She borrowed 50 grand from them, stole the car. Anyway, she borrowed 50 grand, she stole the car, and crashed the car into the loan shark's girlfriend, but apparently that bitch had it coming. And they start attacking the hotel, and Lucifer, instead of, trying to help his daughter and defending the place, no, he's rubbing it in her face, essentially, that, yeah, I was right. These people are not worth helping. And, well, Alistair decides he's going to go and take care of them. And he grows quite big, I might add. I don't think he will be as tall as the hotel. Maybe half the height of the hotel. I'm not sure. Let me know. Anyway, he's, killing off the loan sharks and everything. And when he gets done, Mimsy comes out and thanks him for that. And he essentially tells her that you need to leave. I can't have you here. You brought danger to this place, and I can't have that. And Mimsy is supposed to be one of his close friends from back when he was alive. And we know how he is when it comes to, treating women well. So the fact that he's sending one of his friends away like that, even with all that, it makes me think that maybe he's more invested in the hotel than he's letting on, or he even realizes himself. It's either that, or it's part of whatever deal. I'm assuming it's part of whatever deal he's got with whoever has his leash. Because if she's bringing danger to that place that he's supposed to be at, then that's going to complicate things for him in what he's supposed to do. We don't know. I could be completely wrong about this for all I know. He could just be there for the entertainment and he's just getting more attached to them than he realizes. Who knows? Anyway, we finally get some closure for Charlie and Lucifer as she finally gets him to open up, and essentially he had tried to redeem sinners way back, I'm guessing, in the beginning of all this when he first fell, but it didn't work. Heaven shot him down essentially on that, and I guess he couldn't get it to work right, so he gave up. And he knows that Charlie's trying to do the same thing, and he doesn't want her to go through the same suffering and pain that he did, so he's trying to protect her from it. But I mean, she needs to make that mistake, if it's not possible, so that she can learn from it and grow, because we can't protect our kids from everything. We can't be helicopter parents, because then they won't grow and learn, and they won't be able to face the real world. But yeah, like I said, Jeremy Jordan has the voice of an angel, and him doing a duet with Charlie was awesome. And, but yeah, like I said, in the flashback during the song, it didn't show all the rubber duckies, so I'm assuming that, maybe because he saw Charlie smiling as a child when she saw, when he was showing her I'm guessing it was a swan, it's supposed to be a duck, I think, with all the extra wings. She smiled in delight, and I'm assuming he wanted to make that very same thing that made her smile before, and make her smile again. So maybe that's where all the rubber duckies came from. I don't know. We don't know. But yeah, I'm thinking that maybe Lilith might be responsible for them not having a good relationship, because maybe she was telling Charlie that he never wants to see her, and, well, the fact that he was keeping in his workshop all the time probably was not helping that case. But that's depression. That's the depression talking. Anyway, that song, while I was watching it and listening to it, it made me cry. You could see me crying in the reaction. I'm sorry. Anyway, I have to edit this thing because my nephews decided, oh, we want to interrupt. We want to bother Jessica. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.